For a moment, I thought to bolt back down to our cabin and bring Mama back with me. Now she would give James what for, be he a Hemmings or not. But then the thought of her carrying on in my defense and apt to draw the whole breakfast party, napkins still tucked under their chins, out onto the porch, Master Jefferson included, to see what the devil was going on, was altogether too embarrassing to contemplate. So I said nothing, lest I should give James one more chance to rib, and simply walked on over to old Beulah just as indifferent as could be. I tied on my satchel, took her loose from the post, led her out onto the gravel drive, and climbed on. She went about 5 paces, then put her head down and kicked up her hind legs. Right off I went, banging my left knee, and got up hobbling. Still to this day that knee bothers me on a cold morning. Beulah was as rough and awkward a ride as a man could well endure, besides stopping every so often to stamp her foot and shake her head until I got her nudged into action again. Yet when we had wound far enough down the road that I could turn around and not see old Master's house, and the road ahead was empty and all my own, with the sun beginning to light the world and the trees in color, my spirits began to rise. I was well and truly pleased to be traveling away to a far country and a big city. Then all at once Beulah came to a dead stop, and no heel nor click of the tongue could make her go. She did not share my cheerfulness about a long journey. But this would not do, for wouldn't I look the fool when James showed up, high on his coachman's seat, driving the matched pair, with Mr. Jefferson looking out to see what had brought their progress to a stop? So I climbed down off Beulah and considered this animal which was to carry me, and now had decided not to. She turned her head and looked at me with her big watery eyes. I reached out my hand to rub along her neck, but she nipped at me. "Beulah," I said, "you and me got to come to an understanding. We got a long road ahead, and you got to carry me the whole way, like it or not. Now I'd rather not ride. I'm better on my feet, yes, ma'am, I am, and would stay on 'em and off your back, except that is not how it's supposed to be. If we get stuck here long, why, old Master will come along and bump up against us, and we both be in trouble. So the sooner you get me to Philadelphia, the sooner I can get off your back. You hear?" Beulah, she switched her tail and shifted her ears and bobbed her head. I reached out a hand again, and this time was able to stroke down along her neck all the way, and she did not try to nip. I kept my hand going to her scratched and bony rump where the hair was all worn off from the traces, and then as my hand moved down over her thin belly, I began to feel the burden of her animal life, which she had borne soundless, until all the spirit was beat out of her nearly. I supposed she wanted no more than to be put to pasture, where she could lay down in the long grasses and warm sun, and there bob her head a time or two and breathe her last. Instead of that, here she was a-carrying me. How far she got, no idea, only every step of it pain. I took her whiskered ear in both hands. "Beulah," I whispered, "you old beast, you pitiful, you know that? Pitiful." I got out from my sack one of Mama's buttered corn cakes, broke loose a fair portion, laid it on my open hand, and let Beulah gobble it up to the last crumb in her slobbering way. I broke loose another bite, and she gobbled that too. "Now," I said, "let's you and me get on down the road." Then I hoisted myself into the saddle and onto her back once again, and but lifted the reins. With no heel nudge at all, forward she went at a decent pace. "Hallelujah!" I shouted out. "Oh, hallelujah!"